So hi, continuing where we left off in the last video, we were talking about Git. So Git is of course a critical part of any project and probably something that you should probably be familiar with. In order to initialize any Git repository, you can instantiate using the git init command in the root of your project. Let's say if your project is, let's say, dog store, something like that. On the root of your project, you can just init git, which will just create a .git directory and with some files into it in order to version control your project. In order to exit out of this version control, you can create a git ignore file, which is .git ignore in the root of your folder, and you can say these files in specific to a React project or a Node project. We always try to exit the git versioning for the Node modules, which are pretty heavy and should not be pushed to the version control or the remote GitHub repository. And let's say if you have a build system that spits out your project after building into some destination folder, that the project environment variable, some OS related files, and VS Code. So now, moving on to another important topic, which is Vite. Vite is, of course, a build tool which we'll be using today, pronounced as Vite, of course. The meaning quick in French. Oh, interesting. So it is a tool pulled out by the Vue team. The Vue is, of course, a competitor to React in the UI ecosystem that ultimately ends up wrapping Rollup, which does actual building. So let's look into Vite and Rollup. First, let me look into the Vite. So this is the Vite's landing page. It says that it is the build tool for the web, and Vite is amazing, blazingly fast front-end build tooling that powers next generation of web applications. So yeah, we'll look into this later, but let's look into Rollup as well, just for our understanding. Rollup.js is the JavaScript module bundler. We can compile small pieces of code into something larger and more complex. So yeah, there's a lot of build tooling involved because we are playing around with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and a lot of, let's say, assets like SVG, sprites, and whatnot, images. So there are a lot of build tools in the market as well. So let's look into it. But our end result, what we want from this build tool, is that we can separate out files for code generation and have the tool to stitch them together for us. We can include external third-party libraries from NPM like React. The tool will optimize the code for us, minifying and other optimization techniques. These other optimization techniques include, let's say, tree shaking and all the other good stuff that helps us package the front end really nicely so that we can distribute it across the CDNs and the web so that people can use it very efficiently. So there were previous versions of this course that were using Parcel. Of course, Parcel is another tool that does the same thing, which is a little outdated. In currently in the market, Vite is being used a lot. Um, Another tool near and dear to the author's heart. It is still an amazing tool and one he recommends us to check out. We ended up moving to Vite because React community has selected it as the tool of choice for the moment, and this course aims to give you the community norms of React. So React is a really fast moving ecosystem, and if we do not keep up with the community standards, we'll start feeling left behind out. And the fun part of having such a vibrant community is that there is a lot of community support for things that are moving really fast. So adapting to these community trends, and also keeping a check on what is stable, and only then opting into it, is also a wise decision to make for you as an engineer. So in order to install Vite, we can use npm install it as a dev dependency, and Vite and the specific version, and Vite plugin for React. we can delete these files, and then set up the define config for in the vite config.js directory. So let me open up my terminal. Yeah, if I open up and we look into where we left off, we were done using the no frills react. We'll look into the tools. So here we have our application. If we go into that directory, it's 02-tools, and go and install it. The author has used npm. I'd like to use pnpm, so which are interchangeable sometimes. uh, Likely bun causes some errors sometimes, but yeah, pnpm is likely, you know kinds of acts as a drop-in replacement. So let's also look into the package.json. In order to run the dev server, we need to run pnpm. So we have installed all the files that were required, and it has also being git ignored. As you can see, it's faded out. If I zoom the UI a little bit just for convenience, you can see that node modules are get ignored. So yeah, so if we look into the source file, we have the same project that we built using the script of the previous project. So if we run pnpm dev, it should load up the dev server on the port 5173, and we can see that we don't have the styles.css. If we, let's say, if we, okay, we do not have a public folder over here, but let me just go up a little bit. Can I do that? Let me just copy the relative path for the style file and just spit it down over here. It needs to go up one file, and does it? It has no access to files outside the root directory. So let me just copy it. Let me create a public folder, public, and then let's dump the styles into it. Yep, that hopefully should work. Yeah, that works. So moving on to the next part, that we are having the React app with the Vite working around. So let's also look into the dev scripts that they have provided. So these are a list of, whenever you open a React project, let's say if it's not a greenfield project, meaning a new project, you likely should go into the package.json file or the readme file, so that there are instructions that you can follow. So in the scripts, we have a build script which does Vite build. We have a dev script which runs the dev server, like we saw right now. We have a format script which prettifies the whole project, and then linter script which likely does as it describes. There's a preview whenever you build, and then you can preview your build. Okay, so okay, we are likely getting a recommend. Files in public directory are served at the root path instead of public style. Use styles. Okay, got it. Let's see if this loads. It does. Interesting. So it reroutes all the public directory files into the normal directory, that which is pretty straightforward. So we did fix that. Note that we have changed the domains here. By default, uses localhost. Fun fact: 5173 is sort of uh, spells wheat. If you make 5, it's a Roman numeral 5. Oh, interesting trivia here. Okay. Alternative, there are a myriad of fantastic developer tools that are available. We chose Vite because it is because the industry has been using it for a while, and I have zero problem with you selecting other tools. Of course, just to try to expose everything to great tools. In particular, ESBuild is a wonderful tool to take a look at. So let's just look at it. Oh, interesting. So ESBuild is also a fast bundler for the web, which you guys can try. So in the next video, we'll look into JSX, which is a very important part of React, and why it became so popular. So see you in the next video.